The cultural heritage impact assessment is an important item or important lesson whereby in preserving or conserving cultural heritage, particularly historic building in this case, we have to understand and research the impact on the environment when there's a surrounding development going on around the historic building. The impact on the building itself is important. Then we have to study the impact of the building that radiates back to the community. The reason why this project is being done in Hong Kong is twofold. The university, in the past 10 years of its operation with the ACP, that is the Architectural Conservation Program, the staff members as well as its graduates have already contributed significantly, both in the local and international field in architectural conservation. For instance, like myself, I've been helping the UNESCO and also the International Council of Sites and Monuments to assess World Heritage sites. We are fortunate enough to have former UNESCO advisor, Dr. Richard Inglehart, who comes at Hong Kong U as a distinguished research professor to do a joint research, particularly in Heritage Impact Assessment project.
It is here in Asia that the cities are growing fastest, where urban renewal is taking place at the most rapid rate. So it is not actually surprising that the cutting-edge research is going to come out of Asian cities, and that's going to inform cities around the world. The specific work that we're doing here is to develop a global methodology for undertaking cultural impact assessment. It is a multidisciplinary project, and it is a way to move from an ad hoc response to how we're going to look at preserving the heritage resources of our urban spaces to a more systematic way of determining what is valuable, what is recyclable, what is the most efficient and sustainable way to utilize the investments in the past.
Being the founding director of the Architectural Conservation Program at the University of Hong Kong, then I think I do have this mission to work with a public agency like URA on the central market, which is now part of the public mission. And chairing this committee for this 2 years appointment will enable the university to carry the mission of knowledge exchange.
At the beginning of the public engagement exercise, we invite Hong Kong U as one of the academic resources to give us advice and comments on how the central market could be revitalized into our leisure cum recreational hubs for public users. Without redevelopment, we can provide a breathing space for the central, just like a ventilation shaft for the central district.
So we're hoping that the central market provides us our first really good testable example to come up with a methodology that pushes us beyond just assessing the value to actually coming up with solutions for the recycling and redevelopment of historic spaces.
This building is built in 1939. If it's an entire building that's designed and built with reinforced concrete, I would say this is one of the first generations. The importance of early concrete building is how do we preserve this today? Unlike preserving buildings of brick and stone and mortar, where there is no such thing as deterioration, reinforced concrete building was given a lifespan of 50 years. And all this building today we're looking at, so-called quote-unquote historic buildings, are more than 50 years. So how do we preserve that? After preservation successfully, what kind of adaptive reuse can we make use of this? And how do we expand the lifespan of this reinforced concrete building? All these understanding and research will contribute significantly on the preservation of early period of concrete buildings. To serve the purpose in the 21st century, and especially with a change of use in the future, when we talk about putting bookstores and all that, which are heavier loading than what originally was envisaged, then we have problems.
Well, that's why the first thing we have to do is a diagnosis of how strong the building is, an engineering study of the building,
Right.
so that we really know what are the parameters we can work with.
Right.
And then we can go on from there.
This research project is particularly important to serve as a case study for the Heritage Impact Assessment projects that are being preserved or being considered under the preservation list. It should be thoroughly investigated according to this methodology they're working on right now.
We're looking at how we can continue to ensure that heritage buildings and heritage spaces have a life in the community, which means very often recycling their functions and even sometimes recycling their structures for new purposes. So yes, indeed, we hope that this research will have a very significant global impact.